Laura Loomer is a conservative influencer whose name will sound familiar to those in the Twitterverse. Loomer has become known to her 1 million followers for undercover operations, attacking those on the left, and racist content. But last week, Loomer took on a more public role. She travelled with former President Trump for the debate in Philadelphia, and then after that, she attended memorial events on September 11th. Now, those visits drew criticism across the aisle, given the fact that Loomer has previously called 9/11 an inside job. Even a Trump acolyte, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, is condemning the far-right activist for going just too far. And that is only scratching the surface of Loomer's controversial past. She has described Islam as a, quote, cancer, and used the hashtag Proud Islamophobe. 2 days before she travelled with Trump to the debate, she wrote on X, "If Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry, and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call centre, and the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call that nobody will understand."
Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, who used to be friends with Loomer, responded on X, writing, quote, "This is appalling and extremely racist. It does not represent who we are as Republicans or MAGA. This does not represent President Trump. This type of behavior should not be tolerated ever. Laura Loomer should take this down." To which Loomer responded, saying Greene was just jealous of her access to Trump. Republican Lindsey Graham also criticized Loomer, saying, quote, "She's toxic," while Senator Thom Tillis called her a crazy conspiracy theorist who regularly utters disgusting garbage intended to divide Republicans. And this was what Trump had to say about Loomer. Laura Loomer doesn't work for the campaign. She's a private citizen and longtime supporter. I disagree with the statement she made, but like the many millions of people who support me, she is tired of watching the radical left Marxists and fascists violently attack and smear me.
Meanwhile, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, who is married to an Indian-American woman, was asked how he felt about Loomer's remarks. Let's watch.
Now, you asked about Laura Loomer. Look, Laura Loomer is not affiliated with the Trump campaign. She said something about curry in the White House that I first read about this morning, actually, because I knew that you would ask me about it. Look, Kristen, I make a mean chicken curry. I don't think that it's insulting for anybody to talk about their dietary preferences or what they want to do in the White House. I think what Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policy and on the issues. And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president? No. Kamala Harris is running for president, and whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policies.
But former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci said it made sense Trump was surrounding himself with Loomer. Let's watch.
Anthony, does it make sense to you that he would now have her around?
It makes total sense. It fits like a jigsaw puzzle piece perfectly because all the normal mid-of-the-range Republicans have left him. Some of them are tepidly supporting him, like Governor Nikki Haley, but he wants nothing to do with her. And he's gravitating to these alt-right people that help write the Project 2025 and all the different things that are going on. He likes it, and she gets him in trouble all the time. You know, she came up with the turn black. I'm sorry I'm saying that on your air, but that was Donald Trump's words, not mine. Right. And
the thing he said at
she fed the NABJ thing. That's her stuff. Okay, follow her on Twitter. It's some of the most incendiary, disgusting stuff. But that's him. There's a very big part of his personality that lives in that space.
So look, Laura Loomer, sort of a crazy person, I would say. She first came to my attention when she was banned from Twitter, which for all I know was illegitimate and wrong-founded and had to do with pressure the company was improperly receiving from federal authorities. But she then handcuffed herself to the Twitter headquarters in New York, I believe. She handcuffed herself to the door, had to be involved with police there. And then she's also, although none of this came up in this, Laura Loomer has just been in the news cycle constantly for the last few days as a close advisor to Trump saying these controversial things. What she was known for a while was running the most anti-Ron DeSantis Twitter account in the world, like more than your most COVID-pilled partisan Democrat couldn't hold a candle to the vicious lies she was saying about Ron DeSantis during the Trump versus, the period of time where Trump and DeSantis were combative or not getting along, or Trump saw DeSantis as a political rival. She was just a sledgehammer against DeSantis, sometimes reposting that made up things. So she actually has a lot of enemies on the right because people remember her for that and thinks her smears were very unfair. So I'm not surprised to see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene even saying this is a toxic influence on Trump.
I mean, Laura Loomer is just one of these unfortunate characters who get thrown up in our current political environment, who will say literally anything, is, in my mind, primarily an attention seeker rather than anything else, has found that by latching on to Trump, she gets a lot of that attention. Some of the DeSantis stuff you mentioned, we don't want to obviously repeat every single smear, but one of them was going after Ron DeSantis' wife, Casey DeSantis, for purportedly exaggerating breast cancer of some description. I mean, just crazy stuff. The issue, I mean, I sometimes think people get two things confused here. One, which is freedom of speech on social media or wherever. But the other thing is, what is such a person doing in proximity to the Republican nominee for president? That's really where the problem is. We're going to have crazy people in a country of 300+ million people, but that doesn't mean that they should be flying with a former president to commemorate September 11th, while with the other side of their mouth saying it's an inside job.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I don't believe she should be taken off social media. I think people should be able to speak their mind, and if they say things that are wrong or false or smears, you can correct them on social media, as happens on Twitter and with the community notes feature is great. That said, I think it's perfectly fine to criticize her and her proximity to Donald Trump. This is not, and how does this help advance his agenda, right? J.D. Vance now has to answer questions about it on TV. Like, this is doing him no favors. And he's pretty good at, rolling with the punches and performing well in interviews. But I'm sure the Trump people would rather be talking about, the issues that shows Donald Trump winning on the economy, on immigration, all that stuff. They have to spend time, it helps the media have something. If you're on the right and you think the media is unfair to Republicans, well, whatever. It's a gift to them that there are these people, not just random people online, but people Trump is traveling with who are saying crazy things that then the media is going to seize on them and grill J.D. Vance and Trump and whoever on them. It's just a waste of time to provide no benefit. Like, she's not this amazing strategic tactical genius that he needs her advice or something. She's just a sycophant, and he can't help himself sometimes.
But doesn't that very point go to one of the problems with Trump, which is the idea that he prioritizes or elevates sycophancy above any notable belief in principle or conservative policy or anything else, that he is surrounded by these kind of courtiers, which ultimately creates problems for him. And even if you look at the debate performance against Kamala Harris, which was widely panned, it seems to me that a lot of his errors there were repeating these things that he says at rallies or to his dinner table at Mar-a-Lago, and everyone tells him how right he is, and then you put that in front of a mainstream audience and people recoil from it. People, I think, recoil from Laura Loomer and people like that in very significant ways, and the idea that Donald Trump is sort of comporting himself around these people is not very beneficial.
Yeah, it's the disconnect between doing well on social media and doing well in real life.
Exactly.
Like the Republicans, Trump's campaign advisors, they got to remember, you got to win normal, non-online people too, even with these, more provocative, contrarian personalities who are popular on social media. I'm not saying that can help, but there's not enough to win the election based on that. Republicans have to remember that they got to win some normie, independent-minded, pretty mainstream thinking people who are just upset about the economy and don't want Kamala Harris's policies, but don't know if they can vote for Trump because they don't like the antics. I don't know how well he's reassuring those people.
And just very quickly, Robbie, on that point, I do think you hit on something really important there, which is in social media, you can make a lot of money and be quite famous with 1 million followers, which I think Laura Loomer has. That's roughly 1/3 of 1% of the population of the United States. And in that disconnect is the problem, electorally speaking.
If they all lived in Pennsylvania and they were all motivated to vote for Trump because of that reason, then it'd be worth it, but I don't think they do. We'll be back with more Rising right after this. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.